All right, folks, welcome in. This is JE Live, and if it's a little bit early for you, it's because we have breaking news. The Rams have acquired all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. We're going to get into it because I was just working on a long video where I was literally recording, and I never check my phone when I'm recording, but I just happened to see out of the corner of my eye Adam Schefter, and I just knew that it was going to be the Rams trade. I was told yesterday this trade was pretty much a lock. And when I saw Adam Schefter pop up in the corner of my eye, I just stopped recording, was like, all right, we're going to get ready to go live. Good news is I'm wicked prepared to talk about Trent McDuffie. The good, the bad. I don't love this deal, but I want to add some reasonings behind why I understand it, why I think it'll work out, but why I also don't love it. I'm not like Jalen Ramsey over the moon. I'm not like Von Miller. I'm not like Matthew Stafford when I said, oh, they're winning the Super Bowl as soon as they acquired him. I'm not at that level. Here's my thing, okay? I think we're going to start off from the top. The trade is Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a first-round pick, which is the 29th overall. Told you, Chiefs fans, you weren't getting 13. The 5th round pick that the Rams have, a 6th round pick, and then a 2027 3rd round pick. Now, I want to make this very clear. That sounds like an overpay, and maybe it is. Because when you hear they're giving up 4 picks for McDuffie, and then you have to pay him, and he's still going to cost you a lot of money as it is, and you still couldn't move up to 9th, okay. But that said, when I look at McDuffie here, the valuation was a mid to late first round pick. That's what people were saying. If you do the numbers, if you play the numbers here over on the NFL trade value chart by Rich Hill, okay? I'm not talking about the Jimmy Johnson one. I'm talking about the newest model developed by Rich Hill of Pat's Pulpit. This is the one that's based on trades that have happened in the past and kind of gives you an idea. You take every pick and you put a numerical value behind that pick. So the Rams' 29th overall pick is 202. That's how many points it has. The Rams' 13th overall pick is 336 points. Okay? So the Chiefs are telling us that they view Trent McDuffie as more than the 29th overall pick. That's what they're telling us. But how much more? Well, a round 3 pick for the Rams next year. You take the round 3 value, which this year would be 42. You move over to the round 4 column. So next year's 3rd rounder is considered this year's 4th rounder. And in that case, next year's 4th rounder would be approximately 19 points. So if you're doing the math, we're at 221. So they believe Trent McDuffie is worth more than the 49ers' 27th overall pick. We're getting into the territory of the 26th overall pick of the Buffalo Bills. So now you add a 5th rounder. So you're at 221. You add a 5th round pick where the Rams are at 167. And now you take 9 points and you add that. Now it's 230. And you take a 6th rounder, which is the last pick we're going to add here. It's 4 points. So what you get is 234. So Trent McDuffie for essentially a 24 to 25 overall pick. It's not that big of a deal. It sounds like a lot, but you got to use the math behind the trade value chart. Because I'm always trying to be honest with you guys. I'm always trying to find reasons as to why things are done. I'm not going to just sit here and just say they overpaid it and be emotional. I really thought at first it's definitely emotional time. I'm pissed. Like, why'd they give up all those picks? Then when you really look at it, a 3rd round next year, it sucks that they're giving that away. It'll be annoying next year, but it's worth a 4th rounder this year. So it's really not adding that much value. My one nitpick, okay? My one nitpick is that I would have loved to see the Rams turn the 13 into the 9th. I don't know why they couldn't have made that work. They're taking on $13.6 million as it stands right now. They have to pay Trent McDuffie. I don't know why that couldn't work. McDuffie was coming off his worst year of his career. Injuries. Like, I don't know how the Rams couldn't have gotten more. But I don't think it's a bad trade. Now, would I have done it personally? No, I wouldn't have. But I've said it before, and I will say it again. I believe if the Rams make a trade like this, they have a plan in place. I'll go back to what I said in my cornerback video, okay? I'm bringing up my notes right now, and I want to see how much they've changed. So what I had was Trent McDuffie, going to be 26 years old later this year, 5'11", buck 93, 5 percentile arm length. He had a 94.7 targeted passer rating this past year, gave up 3 touchdowns, only had 1 interception, 5 penalties. For his career, he has a 94.9 targeted passer rating. Not great, by the way. 4 touchdowns. Well, it's for like a career season, like an average season. So 94.9 targeted passer rating, 4 touchdowns given up, 0.75 interceptions, 6.25 pass breakups, 6 penalties, and 62.9 reception percentage. Last year, his EPA plus 3.7 was below average. His 3.2 average separation was below average. And he had a league average 1.04 coverage yards per snap. I had the pros behind him. Plenty of big game experience, played in 3 Super Bowls, winning 2. Has 93 career defensive stops and is shown and proven to be a sound tackler. 34 pressures, including 19 in one season with 6 sacks. Can be used as a bit of a Swiss Army knife, has shown the ball skills to force 25 pass breakups in over 4 seasons. A very high IQ football player that has shown big-time pre-snap ability, great in run support, highly graded by PFF, can step in and give Chris Shula another defensive weapon, former All-Pro in 2023 and second-team All-Pro in 2024. And whatever the Rams had envisioned for Roger McCreary when they made the trade initially, McDuffie would be the premium version of that. The cons, of the potential trade when I made that cornerback video. He's overrated in coverage, allowing over a 90 target pass rating in every season in the league and over a 60 reception percentage. He's regressed since the All-Pro season. It doesn't appear he can play on the outside and is more than likely, going to have to be a slot corner with 5 percentile arm length. It will cost the Rams a pretty penny to get any player that is an All-Pro on their resume and probably will cost a first-round pick when, to be honest, I don't believe McDuffie solves their needs on the outside. He's a bit of an injury risk with hamstring issues in the past and now a knee injury to boot. He's expected to garner a massive extension in 2027, so you wouldn't just be giving up premium capital, but you would also have to pay this man. And the Chiefs are throwing his name around in talks. Do they know something we don't? Should that tell you something? My verdict was no trade. I'm absolutely against trading top draft capital for Trent McDuffie. I have no doubt he's a talented player who would make the Rams better, but at what cost? Would you rather have Mansour Delane on a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option who can play on the outside, or trade him away for Trent McDuffie, who isn't as good on the outside and is slowly regressing from his All-Pro form? That's how I choose to look at it. It's not to say Mansour Delane would be there at 29, but it's that type of player. If the Rams get Trent, there's no doubt they have a plan worth giving a shot, but I personally would be disappointed if they traded the pick for him when I don't think he's elite at this moment in time. I would personally rather pay his teammate, Jalen Watson, who had a better year. He would obviously work well in the Rams' dime package, but the Rams have other holes to fill. That was what I said in the first place. Okay. Now, this is what I want to talk about today, because I did a lot of research and was, doing a video and had a bunch of bullet points I wanted to get through. So what are the pros of bringing in Trent McDuffie? Okay. There's immediate impact here. This is a proven player, 2-time All-Pro, first team in 2023, second team in 2024. He provides lockdown coverage, exceptional versatility, capable of playing both outside and in the slot. I have changed my stance on this. I don't think he's just a slot corner. But do I prefer him in the slot? Yes. So there are people that view him as an elite slot corner and an elite outside corner, and they view him as just an elite corner. I don't think he's that. I think he's a solid outside corner who is an elite slot corner. The system and coaching fit is definitely there for him. He has a direct connection to defensive backs coach now Jimmy Lake, who coached him at University of Washington. He's aggressive. He's got a feisty style. That aligns with, Les Snead's desire to attack the secondary. And, Snead also said he was going after an all-pro. He teased it yesterday. So there's that. The youthfulness of this, okay? He's 25 years old. He'll be 26 at the end of the year. He's going to anchor a Rams secondary for several years, okay? They've already talked about it. Schefter said there's a contract extension coming, so they're working on that, whatever. So he's going to be penciled in or written in ink for the next several years. So, it bridges the gap from the current veteran core and now puts them into the future. So it's a win now move, but it's also, hey, we're going to have this guy down the road too, post Stafford. So that's interesting. The Stafford window, though, like trading for an established star, it fits the Rams' aggressive win now philosophy to secure one more Super Bowl before Stafford retires. Now, one of the pros that I was going to mention, and I'm still going to mention it, and it's not likely, but one of the pros was that he's a liquid asset, potentially. See, McDuffie would be a free agent next year, but the Rams could essentially tag him around $21 million to $24 million, depending on what the tag does end up being in 2027. Right now, it's around $21 million. Both figures would still be under Spotrac's calculated market value of $27 million average annual. The Rams could tag and then decide to trade him if they felt like they didn't want to tie up more money into extensions with Nakua and Young and Turner and Dotson and Stafford, all expected to be in line. That said, this all depends on McDuffie. Is he going to force an extension on the Rams? It sure sounds like an extension is in the works, but that's the thing. So that those are the pros, okay? The cons. And by the way, for those of you who said that I was wrong and my mock draft sucked, well, I traded away 29 for McDuffie in every single one of them. I knew. I told you guys I knew. Anyway, cons. This is a massive financial cost. The market value determines this is going to be a 4-year deal worth over $110 million, maybe more. So that's $27.75 million a year. And it could force the Rams to move on from maybe a player that they were going to bring back. I know I said my mock sucked. That's the thing that was funny. The comment section was grilling me, and I'm like, brother, I thought it was bad. I didn't like it, but I knew 29 was right. I got word that McDuffie was going to the Rams before I went live last night. So when I drop hints like that, just remember, if I know something, I'm gonna drop hints. I've done it before. I remember when I got word John Johnson was going to come back, and I started just shoving John Johnson into the equation a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's the worst kept secret ever. But anyway, so yeah, the high draft capital is another con, which we're seeing. And now, it doesn't bother me as much as it would have in years past, because I'm not going to go off the beaten path here. I've told you guys straight up how I feel. To me, it's all about 2026. I am all about getting better this year. I don't really care about the future. I care right now. I want another Super Bowl ring with Matthew Stafford. So it's like years past, okay, but now it's getting down to the wire. We're at the end of the hourglass here. Stafford has 1 to 2 years left. I mean, he just came off an MVP season, and he could probably play until he's 45, but he's not going to play till he's 45. So that's my thing. If it was different circumstances, who knows? But yeah, there's no excuse. They should have won the Super Bowl last year. It's no knock against Seattle, and I don't want to hear it from a Seahawks fan in here that I'm dumbing down their Super Bowl win. No. But the Rams absolutely failed last year. They should have won the Super Bowl. They had the team to do it, and they failed. So, this is my guy right here. You know, and I have a lot of people in my corner that are great, and I have people in the comment section that have been watching my videos since I first started. But I'm always going to give praise to my guy Jesse, because he just keeps it real and he's super loyal, and I appreciate you, brother. I'm glad this aged well. Like, I knew about it before I went live yesterday, and was told not to report it, but was told to just be aware it's happening. So Jesse's the GOAT. Everybody should follow him. He's the best 49er creator out there. There's a lot of great 49er creators. I think Jesse is the cream of the crop. I think he's one of the best NFL minds in the whole YouTube realm. So yeah, definitely go and follow Last Second Sports. Shout out to you, Jesse. Appreciate you. So going back to the cons here. There's redundancy, okay? The Rams aren't going to trade all this for McDuffie to not play on the outside. So I hate to break it to you, he's going to play a lot on the outside. But there is redundancy because his best role, in my opinion, is the slot, which would be the star, which is where Quentin Lake is playing, which is what he was extended to do. I know there's a lot of people that have this idea that Quentin Lake can just move on over to safety. That's not why they paid him the money they paid him. They paid him to be a pseudo linebacker, slot corner, do-it-all type of guy. And that's what he's going to continue to do. There's also the injury risk factor. He ended the 2025 season on IR with a knee injury. So there's an added layer of risk, and he had the hamstring stuff as well. And the production dip. It's like I said, guys, I'm not trying to hate on this trade. I'm just trying to give you all aspects of this trade. The good, the bad, the ugly, because that is what analysis is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to come in here with a slant or a bias and say, nope, it's right, you're wrong, here's why. No, I mean, I might have those opinions where I'm like, everybody's saying this sucks, but here's why it doesn't. But with McDuffie, I'm coming in like totally unbiased here, because did I want him initially? No. Do I still want him? Not really. But I see it. I see the vision. I see why they made this trade. But I like dissecting every little detail, every little nuance factor. The injury risk is real. Like, I think that definitely is a concern. Like, why, and then the production dip, okay? McDuffie is coming off his worst season of his career, okay? He was an all-pro in 2023, first team all-pro. The first season, by the way, the NFL added a slot corner spot, making it 3 all-pros. That was not a thing before 2023. And he hasn't looked the same in the last 2 years. Like, so can he reclaim that level of production? I believe he can. I believe the Rams have a plan, but it is worth mentioning. Now, there are some things to note. McDuffie had interest in LA. So there was a video from last year that resurfaced, and, it basically went viral, and he was asked by a fan or somebody, like, if he could play for any other team other than the Chiefs, who would he play for? And he said close to home, to be with his family, he would pick the Los Angeles Rams. Now, obviously, he wasn't going to say the Los Angeles Chargers, because that would have been controversial, being that they're a rival. But still, saying the Rams, that does show that he likely wants to be in LA and stay there. So that's a good sign. There's also nobody at cornerback. Okay, this is also something to keep in mind. There's nobody at cornerback right now. This is a need. It's not like they went out and got Max Crosby. Okay, this is why I was against the Max Crosby move. The idea that you're going to trade away Byron Young and picks to get a guy that doesn't actually help you in a way that, like, you need it. You need to take care of your needs so you can go into the draft and ball out and do what you want to do and get those Aaron Donalds of the draft and get those Todd Gurleys. I'm not saying Aaron Donald will be in the draft, but I'm saying you want to get those guys that can help you play right away, those Best player available, blue chip guys. That's how you do it. So, that said, this was a need. You can't say, you might not like the return. You might not like this. You might not like that. But one thing is for sure is that trading for Max Crosby was not scratching the itch of a need. This is a need, okay? The Rams currently have one cornerback that is expected to return from the 53, and that is Emmanuel Forbes, period. End of story. Kobe Durant, gone. Ahkello Witherspoon, gone. Roger McCreary, gone. Darion Kendrick, gone. Darius Williams is getting cut. Dude, only Emmanuel Forbes is on the roster. That's how you have to look at it. So that means as of now, the Rams now have 0 corners signed for next year, even as it stands right now with McDuffie. Until they get this deal done, the Rams do not have a cornerback under contract in 2027. So that's something to keep in mind. Unless the Rams pick up Forbes' 5th-year option, which I just don't see happening, I'm not so sure they do that. McDuffie immediately fills the starting spot the Rams need to fill right now. And they clearly view him as more of just a dime backer or slot guy. So he's going to start on the outside. There's no question. You don't give up that much and not start him on the outside. So my initial trade scenarios, I had the Rams acquiring McDuffie and a 4th/5th for 29th overall. A second scenario, I had the Rams acquiring McDuffie in 9th for 13th and 29th. And the Rams acquiring McDuffie for 61st and 2027 second rounder. I was off, and I'll be the first one to admit that. I felt like it was always going to be 29th overall. I didn't expect all the others to come with it. But again, when you do the math, they're not giving up that much. They're giving up, what did I say? The 25th, the 24th, 25th pick. That's what they're telling you. If you do the math of the trade value chart, they're telling you that they feel Trent McDuffie was worth a 25th overall pick. 29 was too low, so they needed a little bit more, and 13 was too rich. So that it's that simple. So yeah, the Rams still take on his $13.6 million fully guaranteed, which is something to keep in mind. His teammate wouldn't have cost draft capital and was better last year. That's a big caveat for me. I think Jalen Watson just had his best season in a year where McDuffie had his worst. And Watson was able to be had in free agency. You could have kept 29th overall, use that to move up or, add an impact player as well. So that's something to keep in mind there. They could still get Jalen Watson. And honestly, I don't think that'd be a bad move to reunite those two. Here's the one, and if Jesse's still in here, he's the one that brought it up last night on the FC West Roundtable. Why would the Chiefs let a 2-time All-Pro versatile cornerback go? When you think about that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. 25 years of age. This is where you wonder. Is this just the state of the Chiefs right now? I know they're in cap hell, but are they looking at a soft reboot? I mean, even still, how do you let a 25-year-old 2-time All-Pro go? And you're going to bring back Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? You're going to try and bring in Tyreek Hill. You're going to bring back Travis Kelce. You're going to pay Chris Jones. Are the Chiefs focused more on loyalty to their franchise players than they are about trying to win? That's what it feels like. And I think Kelce still has enough in the tank to work. I don't think he makes any sense for Kansas City. I think it's just a tale of, I just want to play it out with Kansas City. I just want to retire with the team that I played for my whole career, which is fine. But the Chiefs have been a team that have not been afraid to move off guys early. You look at Marcus Peters, Rams, Tyreek Hill, Dolphins, Trent McDuffie, Rams. Are they smart here? Or are they making a potential colossal mistake? And if they are soft rebooting, why would you trade the 25-year-old for a back-end first-round pick in a weaker draft? I think these are questions we got to ask. So, the last thing I want to point out here, then I'll get to Super Chats and all of that. Is this about the statement more than the player? The Rams hadn't had, until today, an all-in splash since they traded for Von Miller. They tried to acquire Brian Burns and CMC in 2022. They tried to trade up and get Brock Bowers, Tedero McMillan, Emeka Ibuka, Dalton Kincaid, Miles Murphy over the years. But truthfully, they haven't had a big all-in blockbuster move since Von Miller when they won the Super Bowl. So it begs the question, how much better is Trent McDuffie than the field when it comes to cornerback free agency? Is this more about the statement of going all in? Is this a tone-setting move for a season? Or do they really just think McDuffie is elite and this is what they've been missing? And that's what I'm really interested to find out. I have to imagine, okay? I have to imagine right now the Rams have a concrete plan on how they want to utilize Trent McDuffie. I have to imagine that. But is it maybe that they got lost in the sauce here? You get that close and you say, F it, F them picks, we're all in again. And you kind of lose the plot. Would Jamel Dean have been better for the purpose of winning a Super Bowl this year? Not having to give up the draft capital? Would that have made more sense? Would his teammate Jalen Watson made more sense? Would Monteric Brown made more sense? Josh Jobe, I still wouldn't rule out Josh Jobe, by the way. I think keep an eye on Josh Jobe. Out of all the corners right now, I would say Josh Jobe is my pick to be the Ram. Okay, out of all the corners, Josh Jobe from the Seahawks, if he gets out of Seattle, I think he's a Ram. I think he's playing outside with Trent McDuffie, and they got Quentin Lake in the star. That's what I think. And you're absolutely right. They do. They have Jimmy Lake, defensive backs coach. He was actually promoted to defensive backs coach. They let go of Aubrey Pleasant. So this is a changing of the guard. They moved on from Aubrey Pleasant, right? They moved on from Aubrey Pleasant. They might be looking at a different style of cornerback moving forward. One thing I'll tell you is Trent McDuffie is going to help you in run support. And I think the Rams put an emphasis on that throughout the year. I think Sean McVay brought that up a few times, wanting to have guys that can, play with physicality downhill. And by the way, say what you will about Emmanuel Forbes. Emmanuel Forbes was somebody that I was really impressed with his tackling ability downhill. That quick trigger. Okay, that's a big thing. That downhill trigger is everything for this defense when you're a corner. And I thought Emmanuel Forbes really flashed there, and he really improved. I think Kobe Durant really improved as a tackler. So yeah. That's another good catch there, Jesse. So I will say this, and then we'll get to supers. I've become more open to the idea, and I think it will work out. That said, I said it last night on NFC West Roundtable. I'm going to say it again. I've become more open to the idea it will work out, but this feels like the Sammy Watkins deal in 2017. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I thought Watkins was always an overrated player that wasn't as good as Robert Woods in Buffalo. He was just a bigger name with more draft capital put into him. So Buffalo featured him in a run-heavy offense. He was the only one that got targets. Sure enough, I was right about that. Robert Woods ended up being the better player. Sammy Watkins' trade was acquiring a young, big-time talent, big-name talent, high upside in the final year of his contract. McDuffie is a young, big-name talent in the final year of his contract. Watkins, it took a second and cornerback E.J. Gaines. The equivalent of that would be trading a second and safety Jalen McCullough for McDuffie. Now, to be fair, Watkins wasn't even a 1,000-yard receiver when the Rams got him, and Trent McDuffie is a two-time All-Pro. Can't really take that away from him. Even if I feel like the second-year All-Pro, he wasn't that great that year, and I have no idea why he got that. But McDuffie is a better player than Watkins, no doubt about it. I just don't love the move. Like, it will probably grow on me more and more, but does it make me as hyped as Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Marcus Peters, Von Miller, Brandon Cooks? No. I was more excited for Aqib Talib. But then again, I'm a Kansas fan, so take that with a grain of salt. If they make the deal, they get this deal done. They get the contract extension done. as long as they have a concrete plan, McVay, Snead, Shula, Jimmy Lake, on how to maximize Trent McDuffie in LA, then I have to assume they're going to get that player from 2023. And if they get that player from 2023, this will have been a fantastic trade. That's what I'll say. So let's get into some supers here. Ruiz, thank you for the 2. He will be gone in 2 years for a 5th. Effing stupid. No, that's ridiculous. He won't. No, I don't see that. I don't think that contract will even put you in a position once they make that extension official. I don't think that contract allows you to get out in 2 years. I don't see it. Really curious what the contract is going to look like. So, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like. But the last time the Rams started off the offseason with a blockbuster trade, they won the Super Bowl. The last time they did a blockbuster trade, they won the Super Bowl. So, yeah. Ruiz, appreciate you. I Stomp Casuals for fun. Appreciate you for being a member. Melissa, thank you for the 5. I'm so excited. 2021 all in. Let's draft a playmaker, sign Job, and get Stafford another ring. Come on over. Josh Job, baby. I am so high on him. It's so funny to me how this guy was just chilling in Philadelphia as a UDFA, and they just let him go. Like, dude, Josh Job has turned into an absolute monster. And I think that there is definitely some caution. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm ignorant to the fact that it's possible that, God forbid, Josh Job playing in the best defense in the league, playing with that defensive front, which minimized the amount of time quarterbacks had to actually make throws down the field, that could have played a role. That said, when I watch the tape, I don't get that vibe. I do get that vibe with Woolen. I'm not high on Woolen. I'll be the first one to tell you, I think Tariq Woolen would be a mistake. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Rams went that route because they have a guy who's supposed to be a lockdown, shutdown, pass breakup guy. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a ball hawking corner in Tariq Woolen to play off that. But that's my thing. I think the physicality of Josh Job, I think that's who they go after. I think that's who they're going to end up signing. I mean, maybe they get outbid, whatever, but I think they're going to be in on Josh Job for sure. By the way, the way Job played in the Super Bowl, I know everyone jumped on Woolen's bandwagon. Woolen was terrible against the Rams. Woolen is the reason the Rams almost went to the NFC title game. Like, the Rams obviously scored points, don't get me wrong, but, like, Woolen messed up big time in that game. He had some bad games, man. And I say this, I said it last night at NFC West Roundtable, you don't get all over Darion Kendrick for the penalties and then tell me you want Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen is a walking penalty. Do you guys remember when there were a lot of fans that wanted L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs? Lots of fans wanted him. Do you remember who didn't want him? This guy. Do you know why? Because he averaged a penalty per game. It had nothing to do with the talent. I thought he was a talented player, but guess what? He's been awful with the Titans. So, yeah. To me, I'm not a fan of Woolen. I'm not a fan of the penalties. I'm trying to avoid the penalties. All-in team needs to be a disciplined team. And one thing, by the way, the Rams corners, Kello, Kobe, Darius, those guys, Emmanuel Forbes, these guys weren't getting tons of penalties. Like, the Rams are pretty disciplined in that cornerback room. So I don't think you can afford to bring in a guy who's going to give you double-digit penalties. So anyway, that's my position. Melissa, appreciate you. Deb, thank you. I appreciate that. You rock, Jake. Thank you for the 10, Deb. Thank you for the lemon here. The banana, whatever you want to call it. The yellow. Much love. Blaze Skills Rudolph. Thank you for the 5. I called this from the beginning. Good on you. Appreciate the 5. And we'll say Granny Smith apple there with the green. Can you tell I'm hungry? I'm like naming these boxes after food. Cinco, thank you for the 2. Cam Curl back next in draft a lane. That'd be a really good secondary. I will tell you, I really don't want a rookie cornerback starting on this all-in team. I know that we've seen rookies succeed, but I don't want that. Like, if you get Delane and you already added a corner, like say like Josh Jobe is starting, you have Delane behind him or whatever, that's cool. But like, I'm not trying to add a starting cornerback from the draft. I'm trying to fill all my needs before the draft. That's how I see it. But Cam Curl, all in on Cam Curl being back, man. This has to be done. They have to get that thing done. He is such a good fit for what they do. The other option is they could just have an all Kansas City secondary. They could go out and get Brian Cook and Jalen Watson. So I mean, I guess we'll see what ends up happening. I'm not expecting that to happen, but yeah. Roger coming in with the orange. Appreciate you. Well, we'll say a Mandarin. How about that? Because obviously we just said the color. So Roger with the Mandarin, thank you for the 20. LFG Jake, just tuned in at work, so I'll catch the beginning later. Super Bowl or bust starts now. Yeah, it was always Super Bowl or bust. And I tried to explain that to many before this whole thing kicked off. I'm like, the Rams are pissed, man. They're pissed. They know they should have won last year. Hell, a lot of them felt like they should have won the year prior. They felt like they should have beaten the Eagles. They were the better team that day. They would have trounced the Commanders and they would have beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So if you're the Rams, you're looking at this thing like the Lions season last year of Aaron Donald, like when they lost, like that game, the ending of that was really messed up. And obviously Craig Rolstad's one of the worst officials ever. Would the Rams have won the Super Bowl in 2023 if they got past the Lions? I don't know. Tampa would have been tough, but I think they would have beaten them. They probably would have lost to the Niners. The Niners were really good that year, to be fair. So 2023, who knows? 2024, like I talked to multiple Rams players. Cam Curl and Kello and Bobby Brown for sure. All three of them believe that they were going to win the Super Bowl if they won that game. And I think it's definitely fair to see that. And then this year, it's like, dude, they're right on the doorstep, you know? So at this point, yeah, I think they're pissed off, and I think it's time to do something about it. And I think that they were like, you know what, screw it. We're going to throw caution in the wind, and we're going to go after it. And I had a feeling this was going to happen. The McDuffie stuff has been brewing for a while. And I've been sitting on it for a bit, and that's why I started bringing it up a little bit more and more when it started getting more realistic, closer, what have you. But McDuffie was one of the worst kept secrets of a trade I've ever seen. And I see people in the comment section saying, I wanted Jamel Dean, I wanted this guy, I wanted this guy. This doesn't mean McDuffie's deal does not mean they're done with corner. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, and I've already said this. Aubrey Pleasant wanted Emmanuel Forbes to start the championship game. Okay? He was overruled. Chris Shula started Darius Williams on the boundary. No safety help. He got torched. So it's a love-hate thing. Like, I don't know where the Rams are at on Forbes. I think they like Forbes. I don't know if they view Forbes as a starter. So for that reason, I wouldn't worry too much about them viewing Forbes as a starter and not addressing cornerback. I fully expect them to sign another corner. And if they do, I believe that's Josh Jobe. They may go after Dean. Dean is just somebody that I've identified as the perfect fit for their defense. Having Dean and McDuffie, outstanding run support corners. Dean is one of the best zone corners in football, okay? He had the lowest targeted passer rating in the league. That's insane. Dean was stellar. If you have those two, you're one add away, like with Caleb Downs, from having like the most perfect tailor-made secondary for what you do. Dean, McDuffie, Caleb Downs, Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, Cam Kinchins. And then maybe you bring back Roger McCreary on the cheap. You still have Emmanuel Forbes. Like, that's probably the best case scenario for an all-in season and for what they want to do in zone. But, yeah. Let's see here. Big Dog, you think we need to get a linebacker in the second? I mean, I personally would not be against grabbing a linebacker. I don't know if they're going to do that. I think like Blaine has brought up, Blaine Grisak has brought up EJ Speed. I think Speed makes sense. He's the guy that I have in the mock off season. So is my mock off season so far? Is that it's kind of correct? I think because I think I had McDuffie. I'm gonna check right now. What does my mock off season look like? I had McDuffie and Jobe. I had McDuffie, Jobe, Chris Johnson, Roger McCreary, Emmanuel Forbes. Obviously, I gave up 29th overall, but I didn't give up all the other picks. Doesn't kill the mock off season, but obviously makes it a little bit less likely because I didn't have them giving up one of their fifths and a sixth. But yeah, I mean, I had McDuffie in the mock off season. So the mock off season, I had them signing Stafford, Nakua, Turner, and Young to extensions, restructuring Adams and Alaric, cutting Darius Williams, re-signing Tyler Higbee, Roger McCreary, Cam Curl, tendering Xavier Smith, Justin Diedish, and Harrison Mevis. They did all of those three. Signing restricted free agent Keir Thomas and Nick Hampton to veteran minimums. Signing quarterback Marcus Mariota to be the backup. Signing wide receiver Jalen Naylor. Signing tight end Charlie Kohler. Signing offensive tackle Josh Jones. Signing linebacker / special teamer EJ Speed. Signing cornerback Josh Jobe. Safety Rayshon Jenkins. Punter Corey Bojorquez. And long snapper Joe Cardona. I had them drafting Omar Cooper Jr. after a trade down from 13. I had them getting Omar Cooper Jr., recouping a second-round pick, getting Chris Johnson, drafting Jennings Dunker to be a long-term potential replacement for Steve Avila or Kevin Dotson. Darrell Jackson Jr., the defensive lineman from Florida State at 93. I had some trade downs too. At 99, I had Zakee Wheatley from Penn State. I had Drew Aller, Aiden Fisher, Caden Curry, and Logan Jones. Obviously, the last two picks can't happen because the Rams got rid of those two picks. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works. I'm going to keep monitoring this. This was back, in February, so we'll see how that goes. But mock off season off to a good start so far. DJ Warhacks, appreciate the tangerine here. See? I saw somebody say tangerine. I said mandarin. We can call it a clementine if you want. It is what it is. Thank you for the 20. I feel this is a statement. We are going after the Super Bowl in SoFi. I like McDuffie better than Dean. I like this move. Cornerback got better today. Yeah, I don't like him more than Dean. I also think they're completely different players, but I like the sentiment that you're saying. I mean, it always felt that way. Like, you look up, you see, okay, Super Bowl's in LA. There's just no way. There's no way that they're not going to give it their all to win this Super Bowl. There's just zero chance. So, yeah. Anyway, appreciate you. Eli costs way too much to just have to pay him to. It may feel that way, but it's kind of like this, okay? Here's a good example. Byron Murphy got paid $20 million average annual, the cornerback for the Vikings. If you watch Byron Murphy, he's about to catch strays, and I feel bad, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Byron Murphy is not a great cornerback. He gives up a lot of touchdowns. He's not sticky in coverage, but you know what he does? He picks the football off. That's what he does. That's what Deron Bland did before he fell off a cliff. That's what Trayvon Diggs did before he had the injury. If you have interceptions, you have the reputation, okay? Forever, Patrick Peterson is known as that ball hawk, that game breaker, that game, whatever, right? You have those guys. Antonio Cromartie, right? These are guys that have ball hawking presence. These are guys that have, a rap for being that. So why am I bringing this up and saying this is a great analogy? Because it is. So now let's talk about this in terms of being an all-pro. You get to forever be an all-pro. That's how it works. Like, here's a good example. So Tre'Davious White was signed by the Rams for $10 million, coming off a torn Achilles. He had a back injury, and he also had an ACL tear. Not all in the same year, but in succession. Did you know that the Rams actually had an all-pro cornerback in 2024? That was Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White was an all-pro cornerback, first team all-pro in 2019, and he was a second-team all-pro. Tre'Davious White got paid $10 million despite having all those injuries because he had the all-pro moniker next to his name. So, brings me to the point. The cost may seem like it's too much. That's the NFL. If a player is an all-pro player, they're that forever. They're always going to have the reputation. They're going to cost more. If you try and you trade for, say, Denzel Ward, would Denzel Ward have cost as much? No. He's also 29. Denzel Ward would not have cost as much as Trent McDuffie. That said, I think Denzel Ward is overrated. He's on one of the best defenses in the league, and his numbers aren't even great. I mean, look at the pass rush. You play with Myles Garrett, and his numbers are just like, eh. I'm not looking at Derek Stingley Jr. I'm not looking at Kamari Lassiter. I'm not looking at Quinion Mitchell. I'm not looking at, Devin Witherspoon. I'm not looking at that. So, I don't know, man. Like, I understand people are going to say it was too much. I actually don't think it was too much. It looks like it's too much. It's not. Reckoning, thank you for the 2. Risky traded KC cornerback drop off when they leave. I thought Marcus Peters was pretty solid for the Rams. The issue was the tackling ability. But I thought he was pretty solid for the Rams. I do. I did anyway. That's what I would say. I don't know if I would say just a total drop off. I mean, I think people look at L'Jarius Sneed and see that. But Sneed, you had all the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, Sneed had all of the warning signs that were there. I don't know. Appreciate the super there. LA 42 became a YouTube member. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Justin, thank you for the 2. And thank you for, I almost said the broccoli. Well, yeah, screw it. Thank you for the broccoli there. Thank you for the 5. Do you see them going after Love or Sadiq now? I mean, if they're not afraid to throw all those picks, and I'm not saying it's a ton of room, but they're not afraid to throw all those picks at a cornerback. Are they really afraid to move up in the draft and get a running back that could be an absolute game breaker? You could sign a guy in free agency. But I mean, just saying, you know, Sadiq is, if he's there at 13, I don't know if Sean McVay will be able to pass him up. That's what the video was yesterday that I was talking about. I don't see how Sean McVay is going to pass up Kenyon Sadiq if he's there at 13. I don't see it. Ruiz, thank you for the 2. Love Job for obvious reasons, and 5th was stretch joke. That's fair. Yeah, I love Job. Job's great. I know. Yeah, your name. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like Josh Job a lot. LA42, thank you for the 2. Do you see the Rams drafting Mekhi Lemon? You know, I was thinking about this. I don't think they're going to draft Mekhi Lemon. I don't think they're going to draft a receiver that high because if you think about one, like I tend to look at the draft a little bit differently than when I was first diving in. And this is what I keep in mind. To be fair, I went on here and said, I don't really know too much about the draft class right now. I'm going to know a lot more down the road. As it stands right now, I would personally draft Mekhi Lemon. That's what I said. Right now, I personally wouldn't. I have a higher grade on Omar Cooper Jr. I think he's the best receiver that I've watched so far in this draft. I haven't watched every receiver in this draft, so maybe I'll find somebody I like more. Omar Cooper Jr., to me, is better than Mekhi Lemon. I think he is the perfect fit. And I really like Chris Bell. See, like, that's the thing. Like, there's too many guys, too many options, and I don't feel like the drop-off from a Mekhi Lemon, I don't think there's any drop-off. I think if anything, there's a drop-off from Omar Cooper to Mekhi Lemon. I think Cooper's the better player. But I just feel like, what's the drop-off from Mekhi Lemon to Chris Bell? Right? Like, seriously, is there that much of a drop-off? What's the drop-off to Surratt? I mean, it's probably a pretty decent one to Surratt, but I don't know. I don't really see that. The Rams, I mean, in your opinion, you like Mekhi more than Cooper. But, I mean, I don't have like, you might be a USC fan. I'm not anymore. I used to like them a little bit before Caleb Williams, and then I just fell out of favor with college football. I only watch all 22 when scouting certain players, and I watch Kansas football. That's it. I don't have any other rooting interests. So I don't have a bias against USC. I don't have a bias for USC. I don't have a bias against Indiana. I don't have a bias for Indiana. I will tell you, unbiased, all aside, Omar Cooper Jr. is the receiver of this draft. People are going to overthink it. He is the best receiver in this draft. Route running, blocking, right? Natural hands receiver, the ability after the catch, the contact balance. He's fantastic. He's actually so much like Hines Ward. He's so much like Robert Woods. He's so much like a Chris Godwin. These are like the type of receivers that I want. That's who I want. I want the Godwins of the world that are going to block. I want the Hines Wards of the world. I want the physicality of Robert Woods. That's what I want. And that to me is exactly what Omar Cooper Jr. is. So I personally love him. And I mean, I might be wrong. He might not have as good of a career as Mekhi Lemon. But I think Omar Cooper Jr. is going to be the best receiver from this draft. And wouldn't be surprised if like somebody like Chris Brazell from Tennessee, ended up being like a big time player. It really also, to be fair, guys, it's dependent on where these players go. If Chris Brazell goes over to Cleveland, I'm not expecting much from him. If he goes to the Rams, I don't know. Who knows, right? If he goes to like a really good team, if he goes to the 49ers, if he goes to the Rams, he goes to Seattle, Brazell could have a really good career. But if he starts out in Cleveland, it could be a bumpy road. That's what happens. I mean, Denzel Mims, he didn't really get a chance. He goes to the Jets, didn't work out with the Jets, and then I don't want to say he didn't get a chance, but like Mims never had a chance after he failed with the Jets. That's what I would say. But yeah, I love Chris Bell from Louisville. And that's just the type. That's just my type, guys. I have a receiver type. Omar Cooper Jr. is that type. Chris Bell is that type. Chris Bell is 6'2", 220. And he is fast. He destroys pursuit angles. He's fun to watch. I don't know if you guys have watched this, but yeah. He's fun. I recommend watching some Chris Bell from Louisville. We'll see how the injuries check out, but I like him a lot. So, in conclusion, do I see the Rams drafting Mekhi Lemon? I don't. The Rams draft picks, you have Mumfield in the 7th out of Pitt. You have a 5th rounder in Puka Nacua out of BYU. You have a 6th rounder out of Texas in Jordan Whittington. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really see them spending a 1st rounder on a receiver. When they went to get the receiver last year, that was Tedero McMillan and Emeka Egbuka, who, again, stylistically, Omar Cooper Jr. is very similar to Emeka Egbuka. I think Carnell Tate's overrated. Overall, I think if the Rams were going to trade up for any player, any offensive player from 13, it wouldn't be for a receiver. And I don't think that they would pick a receiver at 13. I could be wrong. Jordan Tyson might be the guy that they go after. Who knows? But it is interesting nonetheless. It's not that I'm souring on Mekhi Lemon. I just don't think that I don't think the Rams are going to spend a premium selection on a wide receiver with the way they look at things now. But we'll also see in free agency. They could shock us and come out and they could go and get Wan'Dale Robinson. And I'll tell you right now, if they go out and get Wan'Dale Robinson, that would be a perfect number 3. Doesn't have the size, so he's pretty much like throwing a Tutu Atwell, but he's a really good player. And, you know, if they went out and got Alec Pierce, he'd be a fantastic player. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely directions they can go in. But I'm not as high on Lemon as I was when I didn't know too much about the draft. Now, obviously, I've seen the receivers. Would I draft Lemon? Yes. Would I take him at 13? No, I would not. So I don't think the Rams will either. Could be wrong on that front. If I am, I'll own it. Casual Brown, thank you for the 5. The broccoli here. No reason to keep Forbes. Was the worst tackler we had at corner. Every high he was getting ran over in the outside zone runs. So appreciate the 5. I'm going to push back on this. I'm going to go as far as to say it wasn't the full season, but by the end of the season, Emmanuel Forbes Jr. was the best tackling corner on this team. He was better than Darius Williams. He was better than Kobe Durant. He was better than Ahkello Witherspoon. He was the best tackling corner on this team. I feel confident in saying that by the end of the season. I'm not saying he was like that the whole year. But I genuinely think he was the best tackling corner. Well, if we're doing Chicago, there's got to be context included. Chicago, it's snowing. You know what I mean? Like it's a blizzard. You know, I got to look up Chicago, like what the numbers were. But if we're holding that against him, I mean, also, didn't he get hurt? He missed one tackle. He only had 2 run plays. I think he got hurt. The Panthers, he had 1 tackle on 1 opportunity, a defensive stop, quick trigger play. The championship game, he didn't miss a tackle. Looking at Forbes, the Eagles game was rough tackling wise. He got much better as the year went on. Okay, they have him down for 2 missed tackles in the Chicago game, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, I thought he got better as the year went on. And look, missed tackles are gonna happen. But like when I'm looking for a guy to come up and have a form tackle, be a form tackler, like I don't know. I think he kind of gets shit no matter what. But I think Forbes definitely improved. And I might have been a little bit too harsh on the whole he's the best tackler. Maybe, maybe Kobe was better. But I don't know for sure. Like, I don't think Forbes was a bad tackler at the end of the season. I think the Eagles game sticks in our heads because he couldn't tackle A.J. Brown, but I don't know. Forbes is coming back. He's cheap. They're not going to get rid of Forbes. They might not give him the 5th-year option, which would take effect next year. But Forbes is under contract. I just, I mean, I don't know. I don't really. He gets a lot of flack, but I think Forbes is better than people give him credit for. I would definitely say that. P-Train, thank you for the lemon. Appreciate the 10. You said that McDuffie had a down year and that a new contract was needed. So why would we give up that much draft capital in exchange for only the player? Too much. He did have a down year. It sounds like a new contract is in the works. I understand not everybody's going to love the draft capital, but it doesn't bother me like I thought it would. And like I said, they're going to have a plan. So, yeah, I gotta trust in that. But I mean, it's definitely a fair criticism, P-Train, for sure. I understand why people feel the way they do. Appreciate the super. I call him 9. Thank you. Hey, Jake, who you think we draft at 13 horns up? Right now, after this trade was made, I think you just gave... I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to do a quick simulator on the side here. I think you just gave the Chiefs Mansour Delane, personally. Okay? And I think that it's something that the Rams probably know. You trade away McDuffie. They're going to lose Jalen Watson. Chiefs, in kind of what seems to be a soft reboot, are going to end up taking Mansour Delane. So you can assume Cardinals probably go with the tackle. Titans are taking Love. Giants take Sonny Styles. The Browns will end up taking Carnell Tate. Washington ends up going with Arvell Reese to replace Bobby Wagner. Saints take Mekhi Lemon. The Chiefs take Mansour Delane. The Bengals, I think they're going to take, Peter Woods. Peter Woods is a freaking animal. I watched his tape yesterday. I wouldn't be against taking him at 13. He's that good. But I think the Bengals, that's such a Bengals move. I think they'll go with Peter Woods there. So then the Dolphins, they could go corner. They could go wide receiver. I'm going to say I could see them going with Jordan Tyson, but I could also see them going with Jermon McCoy. I'm going to say they take Caleb Downs, actually, because I think Minka's going to be gone. I think the Dolphins get Downs. I think the Cowboys get David Bailey, the best pass rusher in the draft. And the Rams are sitting there with Jermon McCoy on the board. They're sitting there with C.J. Allen. They're sitting there with Keldrick Falk, Avion Terrell, Jordan Tyson, Kenyon Sadiq. Yeah, I think right now Sadiq is the pick at 13. If they stay at 13, I think they pick Kenyon Sadiq. That's what I think. I think they're 100% going to go best player available, and I think they're going to fall in love with Kenyon Sadiq. That's what I think. But it's a great question. And I wouldn't be surprised if they want Jordan Tyson there. And if Mekhi Lemon fell to 13, I mean, I guess that's possible. I don't know. I don't get the vibe they're going to draft Mekhi Lemon. I just don't. I personally would consider taking Omar Cooper Jr. because I think he's that good. But I mean, I'd be all over. And by the way, if Downs falls to 11, if he falls out of the top 10, I move up and I get him. So, yeah. My guy, Alex, Alex, thank you for the broccoli here with the 5. For all the bitching and crying that was done about the secondary last year, y'all have no room to complain about the Rams making this move. Yeah, it does seem that way. I understand why people are a little upset. They weren't expecting. They were thinking, okay, I've understood a little bit on the 29th overall, but why did we give up the 3rd rounder next year? No one's mad about the 5th and 6th. They're mad about seeing it in that order. When you see it in the column, the Rams gave up 4 picks. It just wasn't what people were expecting, so I can understand why the knee-jerk reaction is to be upset. That said, like I said, so they have a valuation of an all-pro, 2-time all-pro cornerback of a 24 or 25th overall pick. That's what you're essentially giving up. That's the value you're giving up. So I don't think it's that bad when you consider it like that. Casual Brown, thank you for the broccoli here with the 5. Chris Shula, still our DC. If he can't adjust in the second half, we are doomed. Now it's all in Shula's corner. I'm sorry. If they go out, they retool the cornerback room, and they struggle, can't blame Aubrey Pleasant then, now can you? I'm not saying Shula did, but I'm saying I know a lot of fans that did. Aubrey Pleasant got all of the blame. Well, now we better see some results if that's the case. Appreciate you there. 30 and a wake up. Thank you for the 5. Much love for the broccoli. Let's not forget, there is a good chance the Rams get 2 third-round picks in 2027 when their new O coordinator gets a head coaching gig. That's a good point. That is a very good point. So they're probably going to have a third-round pick at the end, at the very least. It would have been nice to have 2 in there, though. That's fair. But anyway. So those are the supers. Really appreciate you guys. I don't know if you can hear. My stomach is growling right now. Not ideal. That is not ideal. But yeah, Trent McDuffie's a Ram. And I think there's some good. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of questions. He's got to stay healthy. Okay, there has to be a plan of attack. This has to be a move they made knowing that he can make them better and he can be back to 2023. Because if McDuffie plays at the level he played in 2024, 2025, this is not a good move at all. If he goes back to 2023, McDuffie, this is a really good move. That's what I would say. I don't think they give up too much if they end up getting 2023 McDuffie. If they get 2025 McDuffie, this is a really bad move. This is really bad. But at the same time, if you want to trade, you want to go after the guy, you want to go after the big fish, who is available? I was looking. There wasn't really too many options available. Here's a name to keep an eye on since they're all in. I'm finding it very interesting, Cam Curl. They said they love him. We didn't get any more elaboration on that. I talked about last night or yesterday, right? If they love Cam Curl and they extend him, awesome. That's what I want. If they don't extend Cam Curl, keep an eye on Minkah Fitzpatrick. Keep an eye on Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think if the Rams don't extend Cam Curl, Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to get cut by the Dolphins. Unfortunately, those poor guys over there, Heflin, or I guess Heflin, I want to get their names right. Don't mind me. I'm just going to look up who the Packers GM and head coach is. Or not Packers. They came from the Packers. So the Dolphins, because Chris Greer was a terrible general manager, I don't even know why. John Eric Sullivan was hired from the Packers. So it was a package deal for the Dolphins. They went after the Packers defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, local guy from my area. Shout out to him. I hope he has a great season. And they went after John Eric Sullivan. I feel bad for these guys. There has to be some patience with that Dolphins organization because there's a lot of rebuilding to do. That is not a good situation to be in. They have to be understanding. You can't fire Hafley after 1 year. So, here's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. If the Rams don't sign Curl, keep an eye on Minkah Fitzpatrick. The Dolphins, I believe, are going to cut him. I think there are a lot of people that are going to pencil him back to the Steelers. Why would he go to the Steelers? What are they going to win? Wouldn't he want to go to a team like the Rams? If they have a need at safety, there you go. Now all of a sudden, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Kinchins, Quentin Lake, McDuffie, you're starting to look at what an all-in type of team would be. So, those are my thoughts. We'll keep an eye on how things go down. In a perfect world, Caleb Downs falls to 13 and the Rams are able to get him. In another perfect world, the Rams are able to somehow nab Kenyon Sadiq and get Omar Cooper Jr. I don't think there'd be a better fit for their offense, those two. That would be my ideal scenario. If you were somehow able to trade down from 13, get 21, and then somehow like Omar Cooper Jr. fell and you got like an additional early second round pick and you got him there, that'd be amazing. If I'm going to be honest with you, my updated mock draft, we'll do 3 rounds real quick. Who do I think the Rams are going to end up with as it stands right this second? I think at 13, they're going to get Kenyon Sadiq. They may trade down, but I think at 13, they get Kenyon Sadiq. At, let's see. Well, no, you know what? I think they do trade down. I think they do trade down. So let me adjust that. I think this is almost official now that they trade down because I think they're going to miss out on all the blue chip guys. So a quick 3-round mock draft. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to see the Rams trade down here. We're going to have from pick 13, 336. So 336 points. And they trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's the 21st pick. So they trade with the Steelers. Steelers get the Steelers get the 13th pick, so they get the 21st and 53rd. That would put them at 3. It's a little bit of an overpay for the Steelers. But anyway, you get my point. We're just trying to give you kind of an idea. So anyway, we'll do the Steelers. And at 21, Rams get Kenyon Sadiq. At 53. The Rams get Chris Bell. I think Chris Bell and I think Davison Igbinosun. And then the third round at that point, I'm going to say 93rd. It might seem a little early, but I'm probably going to say they go with Drew Aller. They get their quarterback in the future, potentially. We'll see. So I think it's Kenyon Sadiq, Chris Bell, Davison Igbinosun, and Drew Aller. That'd be my 3-round mock right now. Because I think they would trade down from 13. We'll work on it. We'll do our mock draft. I can't even talk. We'll do our mock draft Monday. It's just like a rough guesstimate there, whatever. But yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been fun. We've been waiting for these type of live streams where everybody comes back. But yeah. I'm excited, man. Like I said, am I jumping for joy over the trade? No, but I'm excited for now. Free agencies next week. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure before you head on out of here to like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on all social media, JK Bogan. I will see you guys soon. Later, folks.